Space is vast, an endless expanse that stretches beyond our wildest imaginations. It holds billions and billions of stars, each one a potential sun to countless worlds. And around those stars swirl billions and billions of planets. Some are scorching hot, others are freezing cold. Some are massive gas giants swirling with storms. Others are rocky, solid, and familiar, much like our own Earth. But out there in the cosmic sea of possibilities existed a planet eerily similar to our own. Its name? Eart, a name that sounds almost like a playful echo of Earth. Eart wasn't just a rhyme, it was practically a twin. It had a similar size, a similar atmosphere, and even similar intelligent life forms. The Earthlings looked like us, talked like us, and shared many of our customs and traditions. They even laughed at our jokes. Though their sense of humor had its own unique quirks, their stand-up comedy was a bit offbeat. For a while, Eart thrived, blossoming into a vibrant world full of life and innovation. It was a testament to the potential of life in the universe, a shining example of what could be achieved. But then, things took a turn. Dark clouds began to gather, both literally and metaphorically. Eart's story is a cautionary tale, a narrative filled with missteps and oversights. It's a reminder that even in the vastness of space, some mistakes are universal, repeated across the cosmos. And for us Earthlings, it's a wake-up call, a stark reminder of our own fragility. We need to pay attention, to be vigilant and mindful of our actions. We need to learn from Earth's blunders, to study their history and understand their failures. Because their story is a comedy of errors we can't afford to repeat, a lesson written in the stars for all to see. Life on Earth started out promising. Their planet was abundant, clean rivers flowed, forests stretched as far as the eye could see. The Earthlings, much like ourselves in our early days, lived in harmony with nature. They respected its power and understood their place within its delicate balance. Then came the Earthlings' Industrial Revolution. It was a time of incredible progress. They invented amazing things. Life became easier, more comfortable. But this comfort came at a cost.
Factories sprouted like mushrooms after a cosmic rain. They pumped out goods and polluted the air and water. The Earthlings were proud of their progress. They were on top of the world, or at least their world. But their progress was blinding them. They were too busy enjoying their new gadgets and gizmos to notice the subtle changes happening around them.
Earthlings, much like us Earthlings, loved convenience. They craved it. They desired things that made their lives easier, faster, and more enjoyable. And who could blame them? But their pursuit of convenience turned into an obsession. It became a driving force that shaped their society, for better or, as we'll see, for worse.
They invented self-driving carriages. They hadn't quite mastered teleportation yet. These carriages ran on something called fossil fuels. These fuels were abundant and cheap, but they released nasty stuff into the air. The Earthlings were warned. Their scientists presented clear evidence. Burning fossil fuels was warming their planet. The climate was changing. But these warnings were drowned out by the roar of engines and the allure of the latest, fastest, and most convenient gadgets. The Earthlings were on a collision course with their own ingenuity, and they didn't even hit the brakes.
The signs of change were subtle at first, almost imperceptible to the untrained eye. A few degrees warmer here, a slight uptick in the average temperature, a slightly longer summer there, with sunset stretching further into the evening. The Earthlings, in their air-conditioned homes and self-driving vehicles, barely noticed these changes. Or perhaps they chose not to notice, preferring the comfort of ignorance. Ignoring the problem was easier than facing the uncomfortable truth. The polar ice caps on Earth began to melt at an alarming rate. Sea levels rose steadily. Coastal cities experienced more frequent and severe floods, disrupting daily life. But these were just inconveniences, right? Minor disruptions in the grand scheme of things. At least that's what the Earthlings told themselves, clinging to a false sense of security. They believed they were masters of their domain, confident in their ability to engineer their way out of any problem.
The Earthling government, much like some on our own planet, was slow to act, mired in indecision. They were bogged down in bureaucracy, political infighting, and a healthy dose of denial, unable to see the urgency. The problem was too big, too expensive, and too inconvenient to deal with, a looming crisis that was easier to ignore. Plus, the next election was just around the corner, adding another layer of complexity. And nobody wants to talk about rising sea levels when there are votes to be won and political careers to be safeguarded.
Section 5. The Great Unraveling. The Earthlings in action had consequences. Dire consequences that rippled through every aspect of their existence. Their once temperate planet became increasingly unpredictable, with weather patterns that defied all previous understanding. Extreme weather events, hurricanes, droughts, heat waves became the new norm, wreaking havoc on the land and its inhabitants. The Earthlings, once masters of their domain, were now at the mercy of a climate in chaos, struggling to survive against nature's fury. The very things that made their lives easier, the fossil fuels, the convenience-obsessed lifestyle, were now contributing to their downfall, poisoning the air and water. It was a cosmic irony that was not lost on the few Earthlings who had been paying attention, those who had long warned of the impending disaster.
The fabric of Earthling society began to unravel as the very foundations of their civilization crumbled. Food shortages led to riots. Water scarcity ignited conflicts, turning neighbors into enemies. The planet, once a beacon of hope and progress, was descending into chaos, its cities turning into battlegrounds. The Earthlings, blinded by their own ingenuity and paralyzed by their inaction, were about to learn a very hard lesson, one that would be remembered for generations. A lesson etched in the ruins of their civilization, a stark reminder of what once was and what could have been.
Section 6. A comedy of errors, a tragedy of indifference. Looking back, the downfall of Eart was a comedy of errors. A series of bad decisions fueled by greed, short-sightedness, and a healthy dose of denial. They had all the warnings, all the signs, but they chose to ignore them. They prioritized short-term convenience over long-term sustainability. They valued profit over the planet, and in the end, they paid the ultimate price. Their story, though tragic, is not without its humor. The Earthlings, with their self-driving carriages and obsession with disposable gadgets, were almost a caricature of ourselves.
Their demise was a slow-motion train wreck. We could see it coming from a parsec away. And yet, there's a disturbing familiarity to their story. A story that makes us Earthlings shift uncomfortably in our seats.
Section 7. Eart's final bow. The end, when it finally came for Eart, was swift and brutal. The planet, unable to cope with the escalating chaos, unleashed its fury. Superstorms raged across continents. Volcanoes erupted with a vengeance.
The Earthlings, their technology now useless against the might of nature, were left to face their fate. It was a stark reminder that no matter how advanced a civilization becomes, nature always bats last. And sometimes, nature throws a curveball you just can't hit.
The story of Eart is a tragedy. A cautionary tale of a planet that had it all and squandered it. But amidst the ruins, there's a glimmer of hope. A hope that their mistakes won't be in vain. That somewhere, on a little blue planet called Earth, someone is paying attention. Section 8. Earth. Are we listening? So here we are, fellow Earthlings, at a crossroads. The story of Eart, though fictional, holds up a mirror to our own society. It forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about our own relationship with this planet we call home.
Are we any different from the Earthlings? We see the same warning signs: melting ice caps, rising sea levels, extreme weather events. We hear the same pleas from scientists, activists, and even Mother Nature herself. But are we truly listening?
Or are we too caught up in our own pursuit of convenience, our own short-sighted goals, to see the bigger picture? The story of Eart is a reminder that we are not invincible. We are guests on this planet, not its masters. And like any good guest, we should treat our host with respect. Section 9. A time for action. The good news is, it's not too late for Earth. We still have time to change course, to break free from the path of Earth and chart a new course towards a sustainable future. But time is running out.
We need to act now, and we need to act decisively. We need to ditch fossil fuels like they're a bad habit. Embrace renewable energy sources like the sun, wind, and waves. Invest in sustainable practices from agriculture to transportation to manufacturing. And we need to do it now. Not next year, not next decade, but today.
This isn't about saving the planet. The planet will be just fine without us. This is about saving ourselves, about ensuring that our species doesn't become another cautionary tale in the vast cosmic story. Section 10. Choosing our fate. The choice is ours. We can choose to be the generation that learned from Earth's mistakes, the generation that broke the cycle of self-destruction and charted a new course for humanity.
Or we can choose to ignore the warnings, to continue down the path of convenience and consumption, and risk suffering the same fate as the Earthlings. The story of Eart is a tragedy, but it doesn't have to be our story.
Let's choose wisely. Let's choose action. Let's choose Earth.